So let's go to the site and kind of zoom in here a little bit. Actually, we're not seeing our doorway, and that might be helpful. Let's see if we can work from level 1. And that gives us our doorway there, and that gives us an idea of placement. And we can actually see a little bit about, well, we actually can't unless, there we go. If we click into it, we can see where that edge is to the repeat of the units. So we'll kind of use that a little bit as a guide. I'm going to just cancel out of that. And we're going to go ahead and rotate this wall. And I'll put it up in position here. It actually gave us a little hinting there. Let's look at that at 3D. That looks really kind of tall. Let's go ahead and change this down to its base constraint is level 1. Actually, it's not tall. It's just connected to the wrong place. I want to change this to the grade and apply. And that brings it down. Now we're down at that grade level. It looks like it's not even coming close to the wall. And that's fine. We're going to actually draw that. Well, we can draw that back right now. Let me go back up to the level 1. And I wonder why we're not touching. We're seeing something sticking out further that's preventing us from seeing that completely connected. I'll just pull that to the back and let's see what it looks like there. Well, that's kind of interesting. It's not actually looking like it's attaching itself. I'm not going to let that get in the way of our work right yet. Come back and deal with that. Let's go back to our, I'm going to close off this cap now. We don't need it any longer. Control W and go back to level 1. And I wanted to make this come out about 10 feet. And we want to have another little piece of wall, which is kind of the steps coming down. So I'm just going to copy this. And I'm not going to move it down there into position yet until I change the height of this. And I'm just going to shrink this down. I'm going to take 2 feet off of it. So I'll bring this down to 3 feet. And I'll drag this now back over again. We're starting that idea of the stairway coming down. Look at this at a 3D view. All right, that's the stairway area. It won't be that long, so I can pull that back a little bit. And we'll go back to the level 1. We want about a 6-foot width of our side of our stairway. So I'm going to move this over, and I'll move it over actually 8 feet. That'll leave us a remainder of 6 feet between them. That's where our stairway can go. I'm going to take this piece of wall and copy it over so we can make it the front wall. I'm going to rotate this around. Oops, try to get it square. Actually, we want to pull it back till it's, let me move it back until it's aligned with the face of the other one. We're going to hold this a little short at the end of the building because there was some kind of an area where it was almost like a gutter or a place where planters could also be. Let's look again in 3D view. So that's getting pretty close to what we want. The only anomaly we have is we're not connecting completely. It's not clearly connected up to the building. That'll look a little different when we start to put the floors in. So let's do that right away. So I'm going to go back to level 1 and let's put a floor in here now. So I'm going to go to architecture, floor, and we're going to put in at least a 12-inch, a concrete poured floor. I'm going to actually duplicate that and change the name of it. So go to edit, duplicate, call it patio floor. And we got to give it a texture so it matches. We're going to have let's say it's going to be concrete. So I'll just look for our generic concrete lightweight Let's see if I can find that. Yep. And we'll finish drawing this, and we want it on level 1. And so I'm just going to come underneath that inside of the wall and do the same thing over there and come up and touch the wall of the building. Click complete. Let's take a look at that in 3D. So there we have, we could actually pull this in a little further. So I'm going to click into that and pull it up underneath. And remember, we're not actually drawing a building here, we're really just working up a facade. So if I'm not drawing everything perfectly, it's really just to generate some ideas about a look before we would get to any kind of actual documentation of what we're doing. So we need our stairway now. So let's go to level 1, and we'll go to architecture, stair. We're going to select a precast stair, or I don't know what a monolithic, but actually that might actually be better. Let's try a monolithic, and I might want to go back on that one. And we're going to go from grade, base level will be grade, up to level 1. And we want it to be 6 feet wide. So let's give a shot. I'm going to actually just draw it anywhere here and then move it into place. Okay, so that's saying it's 6 feet wide, and you can see we're a little, oh, that's because we have our overhang here. So I'm going to grab this now, and actually let's look at it in 3D to make sure it's not backwards. Nope. Go back to level 1. I'm going to move this now. Come up here just until I want to now just touch the front of our floor that we've made. And like I said, that's going underneath because we have a lip to the top cap that we're looking at. We can actually now complete that off. Look at that in 3D. It's going to have a railing system on it that we don't want, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that right now. We would put a railing system on, but we're not going to go to that level of detailing. And what I want to do now is pull back these garden walls so that they trim off to the front of the steps. I'm not getting any kind of an indication of that point, so I'm just going to pull them so that they're equal. Let's take a look at what that is. All right, and so what we're going to do is eventually is just group these and then move them along the same way we did the other ones. So actually maybe we'll do that right now. The only thing I'm concerned about is how this appearance of what's happening with the garden wall and the proximity to this wall, why we're not actually able to move that over further. Well, I went to 12 feet and that was all right. Let's see if we can come back here a little bit. Just a funny thing how it is. This doesn't seem to have. So we'll leave it beyond that point for now. Let's see what it looks like in plan view. This may have something to do with the fact that we've grouped this. Yeah, it always seems that's a funky kind of a problem there. I'm just going to pull this once again back, and it'll look like it's going all the way into it. And then let's go grab a bunch of all of the components here and then start moving duplicating them over, excuse me. So I'm going to hold the control key down and multiple select. And I'm going to make those into a group. We'll call it patio. And we'll go ahead and copy that over. Same module. So it's 22 and 22 and 22. And we'll look at that from a 3D view. It's probably time we got a little better angle on that. So let's go back to level 1. Let's do a camera view of this. We'll be using this for reference when we start building all the site amenities, the trees and that, grass and sidewalk. And let's go ahead and render it. And let's see if we can make it look prettier. And I think that looks pretty good. And next we'll bring a site in from one of our other drawings and start to build the context for this building.